Welcome, everyone. Hi, I'm Tara Walker. I am a technical evangelist at Amazon Web Services, and I am really excited to be here today. I am actually in Seattle. I can't say sunny Seattle, but I'm in Seattle. I am here. I'm very excited to be here with Roger. I'm going to let him introduce himself. So I was going to do the whole spiel about how great he was and things of that nature. But I'm going to first let him introduce himself, and then I'll gush about how wonderful he is afterwards. So Roger, would you go ahead and introduce yourself to the Twitch followers?
Thank you, Tara. I'm Roger Barget. I'm General Manager for Amazon's Kinesis Data Streaming Services.
Excellent. And Roger has been so gracious to join me here today as we talk about, hopefully what you guys are really excited about, like I am and we are, the IoT App Challenge. Roger is brilliant on things about streaming data and IoT. So Roger, given I'm really super excited about where IoT is going, it's really its proliferation in the industry and what making things possible in addition to real streaming data. So if you could kind of tell us about what's going on in this whole industry with the IoT and streaming data?
Sure. I mean, at first one should realize that, almost all data is generated continuously. And so really, almost all data can stream through a system and be processed in real time. What's so exciting about IoT is the sheer scale. I don't like looking at forecasts for what's coming in the future. Just look at what is today. Conservative estimates say that we have 9 billion IoT devices or things streaming data. And when you count our cell phones, our laptops, and our mobile devices, those estimates go up to 20 billion devices that can stream data. And in addition to the scale, it's about what people are doing with this data. We have the chance to actually ship very small, inexpensive sensors that can collect and transmit data off of a piece of fruit. And if you think about the possible applications of getting real-time insights into what's going on out in the world, when you have that scale and ability to, at a very affordable price, monitor and stream data and get insights out of it, that's really, really exciting.
That's huge, 20 billion devices. Yeah. That's a huge number.
It is, and I think we're just seeing the start, because when you start thinking about connected cars, smart cities, smart homes, this is going to grow exponentially. And again, it's not just the data, it's about the insights and how it's going to transform our lives and allow us to lead better lives, which is really what motivated us to do this contest.
So I think we have a few services that help people out with this. Do you want to kind of talk about some of the cool ones that really enable us to not only get the data and drive this sensor-based data, this telemetry data, but what are the services that help us then analyze and then make this data actually actionable?
Absolutely. AWS has a number of services that actually support the end-to-end flow for IoT data, beginning with AWS IoT Core. And AWS IoT Core allows developers to register devices or things that have the ability to stream data into AWS, and it allows you to connect that data coming in to different services, and not just connect it, but do so in a secure manner with end-to-end encryption. You can actually set permissions on exactly who can read that data stream. So it really provides a secure front door for getting your data from different devices, speaking different protocols. And it can even translate these protocols, like translating languages so the devices can speak to each other. So if you think of AWS IoT Core as the front door, then you say, well, now what can we do with it from there? AWS Rules Engine, you can actually write rules that will look at the data payload coming in and route it to certain services or take actions. One of those actions might be to put the data into an AWS Kinesis data stream, which will store your data for 24 hours, and you can read from the stream and process it. If you want to go serverless, you could actually use AWS Lambda, which you simply provide a function for processing the data. You don't have to manage any servers. It completely scales automatically, and these Lambda functions can process it. You have different analytics services such as AWS IoT Analytics, because look, data coming off devices, it's dirty, it has to be formatted. You may have different devices of different age and have to translate the units or enrich that data. That's what AWS IoT Core allows you to do, and then it can deliver it to destinations. We have AWS Kinesis Data Firehose, which will actually load AWS services with this incoming data, so you can use S3, Redshift, Elasticsearch, and more, because maybe you're already familiar with those services. And then finally, we have AWS Kinesis Data Analytics, where you can do real-time processing of the data coming in off the stream. And when we look at some of the examples for this contest, you can actually see how these services have actually been used.
What I think is really exciting is that we really are expanding the ability to get analytics off these sensors.
Yes.
So you mentioned Kinesis data analytics, and then we had a great new service that came out during re:Invent
Yes.
that also fuels, again, those two powerful, the Kinesis data analytics, and then we have IoT analytics.
Yes.
And if you guys, please, I hope you guys know about this great service, but if you don't, take a little time, go out to our AWS blog post. I wrote a post about my journey in diving into IoT analytics. So check it out, take the journey with me. I think it's really cool, the services that are being brought together to make these really robust solutions.
Indeed.
So we have a challenge. We had a challenge.
Yeah.
We did a challenge. And you guys, you accepted the challenge. You know, it was your mission and you did accept it. So let's talk about why we launched the challenge. Now, it's kind of an unfair question because I do know why we launched it, but
Yes.
for you guys out there, here's the official why we launched this challenge, and hopefully you had as much fun with it as we did.
Yeah. I mean, we believe we offer these services, but we're not prescriptive on how they should be used. And we actually believe probably the greatest IQ we have to bring is the creativity of the developers who are using these services. So we are really interested in how developers would actually combine these services to actually build end-to-end solutions. Could we see architectural patterns emerge that others could look at and share? Could we just get a sense of what the future might look like?
And the future looks bright because we have all this ability to do some of these cool things. With that, you know, with this challenge, I was really amazed and pleasantly surprised about the responses you guys gave to this challenge. It was really phenomenal. And so could you tell us a little bit about the submissions we had to the challenge? We're going to talk about these great winners that came in a minute, but if you could talk about the submissions of the challenge and, you know, what actually happened with this wonderful challenge.
Yeah, we had 8,000 people actually check out the site and read the challenge, look at the rules. We had about 850 developers register, teams register, and of those we had, I think, a total of 45 to 46 submissions, end-to-end completed solutions. And from that, we had to choose 3 winners along with a People's Choice Award. The 3 winners actually split a pool of $10,000 and $4,000 in AWS credits.
Nice.
And the People's Choice, and we also had 30 what we called, I think, honorable mentions. Each one of them got an Amazon Echo Dot.
Excellent. See, no person was left behind as you did this great, wonderful work. So we had a really great time, and this was fun because as we're talking about this challenge, we actually had some intimate knowledge about this because Roger and I both had the opportunity to judge these great submissions that you guys put in. I don't know about you, but it was really kind of cool seeing the things that came up with the challenge.
Yeah.
In fact, what did you think about how, you know, the judging and everything? What was your experience with it? I think it was really cool for me.
It was, and we had to balance out because in some cases the technologist is just excited about the problem they've chosen, the data that they're working with, how they use the services. And some of the examples are actually using real-world problems, which are really exciting. And when we saw that intersection of real-world problem, great architectural best practices, those are the ones that really stood out. And I think you're actually going to see that when we talk about the individual winners.
Yeah, I think that this was really great. So if you guys have not checked out Dev Posts, we actually have this app challenge. Could you guys switch to my screen for a minute? I want to show kind of the app challenge here. So if you go to this link and you're really interested in the resources we had for the app challenge, this link, we still have it up. You can still see all of the submissions. You can see all of the architectures. And I'm hoping by seeing not only the architectures, the resources, data to get started, you'll be inspired, even though the challenge is over, to build your next cool thing.
Exactly. And what you'll notice when you look at the site, you'll see a video of the submission itself, so you can get a really good sense of end-to-end, why they were building it, how they built it. They actually provide the code along with any data that they used, the lessons learned, the best practices. So it really is a goldmine of knowledge. So we do encourage you to check it out.
I think what I liked about the lessons learned the most was the fact that things or issues or challenges that they had that they overcame to do this. Those are things that now I can learn from, and I won't go down that same road. And so I thought that was really excellent that not only do you get these learnings, you get the code, you get all these things, but I can see the gotchas. And those are always where the rubber meets the road,
That's
right?
gold, yes.
So let's get into the winners. Yes, okay. So the first winner of our challenge is, there's not a drum roll, I'm not good with sound, so bear with me. But the first winner is the Smart Cold Chain. Can you go to my screen really quickly? Because I want you guys to see this great service. So if you check out my service, let me tell you what was really cool about this one. This is a real world implementation of, and I'm going to play the video while we're talking about it, but this is a real world implementation of a cold chain, so a smart cold chain. And what is really cool about, and you're seeing the video happen here, is that what they developed can actually be used in real life. They're actually getting data and sensors from refrigerator sections of, let's say, your refrigerator, grocery stores, things of that nature. And obviously refrigeration in food is kind of important. Yep. You want to keep your food fresh. And they're taking lots of telemetry data from that. So the temperature, the humidity, let's see, they're getting, as you can see here as the screen goes through, they're getting things like the pressure, and all of this is actually being captured, this telemetry data, and sent through AWS IoT. And what they've done here is send that data as it's funneled through to AWS IoT. They implemented a rule that actually goes to Elasticsearch. So I thought this was a really interesting implementation that they decided to actually use Elasticsearch for that. Yeah. And from Elasticsearch, they trigger various things. So they trigger things like alerts. They use Lambda. They store data with DynamoDB. They're using S3 to store different images. It is a robust solution here. And I thought that was really interesting, the combination of things they use. As far as an IoT device, they use Raspberry Pis. So they use these almost as beacons, if you will, as devices to capture this telemetry data. So I thought that was also interesting that they would trigger these as beacons, so you know where these this refrigerated cold chain device was, or where they were tracking this data. And then as they gathered this data, it went through this process of Elasticsearch, again, storing this data, giving you alarms, and then they even have a visualization image of it. And so if you look in the screen really quickly, you'll see that this is the reference architecture that they use. They are actually getting data in, again, using beacons, BLE, Bluetooth. They're sending that securely using MQTT, AWS, and that's secure TLS 1.2. So always talk about security there. And then once it gets into AWS IoT, the world is their oyster as far as what they can do to not only send the data through various channels, but to get the data and be able to visualize this data, analyze the data, and do various things. So I thought this was a really interesting scenario.
I did too. I think one of the things when I first looked at this, what really caught my attention, again, when you think about the possibilities of IoT, we live here in the beautiful but rainy Pacific Northwest. Salmon, oysters, crab are all at our disposal. And clearly these are things you want to have fresh. And as we start to make these devices, which are smaller and more affordable, imagine having the fish actually tagged with an IoT device and track the cold chain from the moment it was actually caught all the way to your grocery store, where you could check it on your iPhone and say, hey, what's the quality? How has it been maintained? How has it been handled? So that really caught my attention when I first looked at this demonstration, or this submission. And it's serverless. It's completely serverless. They're using the IoT rules engine. They're using Lambda for processing. There will be nobody doing operations for this service. It completely scales. So I thought that was very elegant as well. I also thought it was clever that they actually future-proofed. They thought about how they're going to load Elasticsearch, the dashboards they would build so they can see exactly how a piece of a product had been treated, what its temperature was. But they said, look, people may have ad hoc queries, so we're going to go ahead and put it in Athena as well. And so at any point in time, somebody could write a SQL ad hoc query and ask other questions about the cold chain, the data that we may not have thought of, and put into our dashboard. So definitely gave extra points for extensibility.
Speaking of Athena, since Athena now has this excellent correlation with QuickSight, so if you want to get this data, do the queries, but now you can actually have a dashboard for those not as techy as us that want to really see what's going on with the refrigerator data. And I thought that was really powerful. They thought of all aspects of the industry. For those people who want to see the status, to your point, you want that fish to be fresh. Actually, while I'm here, I should go down to Pike Market, speaking of freshness. So you want that fish to be fresh. You want your food to be of quality. And this is a way, real time, for them to make sure that happens. So I thought the visualization of data to include people that actually won't run queries, that actually just want to see a snapshot, was really powerful.
Indeed. The only thing I'd say, when I look at this, it is serverless. But then what if this data, you couldn't afford to lose it? You actually have, maybe it was a transaction, monetary or something, you couldn't lose a single piece of the data. So the only thing I'd say is when looking at this architecture, and I think they've done the right thing, but if the data had to be persisted, in fact, you had to make sure that you stored it and could go back in time and process it, they may have thought about using a Kinesis stream because you have that 24-hour retention of the data, or even up to 7 days. So they might have looked at something like that, maybe even using Firehose to then load S3 as well. So again, this is the thing. There are choices you can actually say, but for this application, I think it was the right architecture.
Yeah, it was a great one. But the good point about Kinesis, because yeah, if you want to go back and replay certain scenarios, there you have it. You can do that and say, what happened here, and how can we tweak this for more analysis? That actually is a great situation. So that was the number one winner. Yay! So let's talk about the second place winner of our app challenge. So I'll go ahead and bring this one up.
Okay.
And this one is a super cool one. I'll bring it up and I'll let you discuss really how phenomenal this really was.
You know, the first thing that caught my attention when I was reading this submission, this application was actually written by pilots and aviation enthusiasts. That speaks volumes about how easy these services are to use. And they're acutely aware of the environment and the challenges in which they have to operate. And they're also looking at what's going to happen in January 1st of 2020, is that by law, airplanes are going to have to transmit in real-time data on exactly where they are, both to FAA, but also to traffic control, but to also other airplanes. Because the problem they're trying to solve is, can they learn patterns of pilots about airports? Can they detect potential collisions? Can they know exactly where an airplane is? Can they make better routing decisions? So they're both looking at real-time alerting of this data, as well as can they capture historical data by pilot, by airport, and actually make inferences from that. So they took on a very big challenge for a very, very real problem.
Yeah, and as much as I'm on planes, that's a really important problem for me to have you guys track where I am. So I think this was really powerful because, again, this is something that we all can relate to, flying and making sure that safety is key there. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is an example where that data is so important and it needs to be persisted. They actually stream the data, again, from a Raspberry Pi on the plane up to a Kinesis stream. And they're doing so on intervals of every second. And they process that data using EMR and Spark. So that's reading from the Kinesis stream. They serve up the results to users via DynamoDB, to which they can attach visualization. This makes this data ingest very cost-effective, easily to scale. On top of DynamoDB, they've done real-time alerting when they detect that planes are coming too close in proximity. They also do historical analysis. Again, how has this pilot been flying? How is the rate of descent? How close have planes been coming by pilot, by airport? So they can do a host of historical analysis. So again, very cost-effective way of ingesting this data at scale, and we can clearly see this going into production in the future.
And the fact that if you think about it, these were pilots, and to your point, people that really were just enthusiasts that decided this was something that they could build that could have real-time effects on the aviation industry. And I thought that spoke volumes of this.
It did.
So congratulations to the second place winner, 1200 Aero. We are totally impressed, and hopefully you'll keep me safer in the in the skies. Yeah, that was a really phenomenal one. And like I said, what is so powerful about these, you guys did this as a challenge in a limited amount of time, and yeah, thoroughly impressed.
Very nice.
So yeah, I'm going to go and check out that code, that you did. So let's talk about the third place winner, and this one actually made me laugh.
Yes.
And it was really powerful. And what he used, let me talk about it. It's called Longword Deep Learning Trainer. And I'm going to bring it up on my screen while we're talking. But the reason why this one not only made me laugh, but was really powerful, is he did something really unique here. So first of all, I don't know anything about fencing or long swords, but computer science swords, I'm all in, right? I'm all in. I grew up watching Star Wars, so this really spoke to me that way. But he actually took this art of longsword, and he wanted to make sure that he was actually, as this form of martial arts, I'll say, to actually make sure he was executing the moves correctly. Now, this is where I thought this was really innovative. He's actually using deep learning and Poly, and Lex, and what the thing is doing, it's saying they're saying a position. He actually then gets into the position. Hopefully you're seeing it on the screen as he's doing it now and hearing these stance. Once he gets in this position, it actually detects, based on image recognition, whether or not he's actually doing the appropriate form for this long sword thing. And then he's taking this data. I mean, this is truly powerful. And if you can see on the screen, he's actually taking this data and then analyzing it, how well he did, how long it took him, what was the stance he was supposed to get in, what was his acceleration. So he's actually using tons of sensors on this. The accelerator, And the voice is really powerful to me with this. But again, here, yeah, there it is. It came up. I was waiting. So I'm going to pause this really quickly because I want you to see this architecture. And I thought this was really, it kind of kept going. So let's try that again as he bows. All right. All right, let's hit pause there and try that again. Okay. And what I thought was really powerful about this, like I said, he was using accelerometers, gyroscopes. He's doing all this, mind you, using over Bluetooth, which I thought was actually surprising that he was getting such quality data over Bluetooth, right? You typically, when you want data to be really quality, I mean, this just shows where our technology is going. Bluetooth has not always been the most reliable source. So the fact that he's actually doing this over Bluetooth, over internet, directly to AWS IoT, and then using Lambda to trigger information to Dynamo. He's done a great job of making sure he has CloudWatch set up with alarms and monitoring. He's storing the data. I mean, like, he really thought this through. And mind you, this is for a martial arts, and he's using deep learning with machine learning on EC2. So he actually created and built a model running on EC2 to judge whether or not he's in this form. So not only using the services that we have that make it really quickly and easily to scale, but he actually developed a model specifically for this long sword martial arts training. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm blown away. And then throwing Polly in on the end, he really went all out in this one. And if you watch the video, please go on the site and watch the video. It's worth it. It's kind of funny too, because he's getting these stance, and if you're not familiar, well, I wasn't, with this form of martial arts, you're like, what is he doing? And then you see these graphs coming up. And even without knowing anything about this martial arts, I immediately got it, right? Yeah. The stance, with acceleration, how it would be credible of him doing this correctly if it was a real martial arts fight. So congratulations, Longword Deep Learning trainer. You thrilled us all with this one.
Indeed. I mean, like you said, what's not to love? Martial arts, IoT, and deep learning. What a great combination. And architecturally, it's really clever. The individual has used the services the right way. Data streaming in through the IoT gateway. Lambda's being used, serverless, scalable, to actually pull the features out. He's streaming the data into Kinesis streams for real-time prediction and real-time feedback. Kinesis Firehose is loading it to S3 where the deep learning models are going to be retrained. So again, beautifully architectural. And you put Polly in, because when you watch the demo, and I hope you will actually spend some time with it, Polly's actually giving the user real-time feedback. Yes. And as we started by thinking about the future applications, think about sports equipment, helmets, being out on a football field and being able to understand what every player played, the impact, or any other sport that you might participate in.
And imagine how it would have, the experience for us, we just had a Super Bowl. I will not comment, I will try really hard not to comment. We just had a Super Bowl. Imagine what the experience would be like for us, the enhanced experience, to have deep learning used in those sports, like you said, with these helmets, and we can actually experience the force of them blocking, or really how the throwing the ball and how he caught it, and the velocity and the force and the power of catching that ball, and the speed of taking that off and going into the end zone. Imagine the enhanced experience if this goes into, like you said, sports of any kind. So name your sport of choice. Imagine the enhanced experience that deep learning now can bring. And he built this all on his own. Yeah. What was the last thing I'll say about this was really interesting to me, and you brought it up, was the fact that, it made sense immediately. It triggered the streams, right? But he took it that step further and used Kinesis Firehose. And I thought that was really powerful, that he really thought deeply about the storage of the data, how to make sure that data was captured in S3. And so therefore, if he wants to do things with that data, like tie Athena and do queries, now he has that ability. He really thought this one through.
He really
so
did.
Congratulations, Longword Deep Learning Trainer.
Nice
you
job.
kind of thrilled us all on that one. Sports and Sports and IoT, we're all in for you. So let's talk about the popular choice winner.
The People's Choice Award.
The People's Choice winner, yeah.
And I can see why this was the People's Choice Award, because what they were looking at is how much time we spend going to the grocery every week, looking at the commute time as well that gets involved. It's not insignificant, 2 hours a week. And the authors accurately pointed out that you can imagine yourself, you come home Saturday after a long day at work, you open your refrigerator Saturday morning to make an omelet, and you're missing an ingredient, and you're not having a good morning. And this happens all too often. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the grocery store either.
That's right, that's right. And they even point out the ineffectiveness of when you look in your fridge, your list is going to be wrong, so you probably will make 2 trips in the week, if not more. So they said, what can we do about this? And so their solution begins with actually making a container that you put your products in. This container measures the weight of what's inside of it. And for each one of these containers, you can set a threshold on what full is or when you need to reorder. So it's constantly streaming data from the container in the fridge through the IoT gateway, and from there, they're writing rules. And what those rules are looking for, one set of rules is looking for, has the product fallen below a threshold? If so, they write to a DynamoDB table to say, let's place an order. But they also realize in the future, they can actually track consumption every day and actually build predictive models in the future. So they'll realize, hey, it's Thursday, I know how much milk you drink, you're going to be out Saturday morning. So even the predictive models can kick in. So they build a second table, which is a dashboard. You can see how much you have of everything that's in your fridge. And like they said, in the future, they hope to put predictive models, which will then look at the quantity, forecast consumption, put it up on your list to actually order. Very simple architecture, IoT going into the IoT rules engine. 2 tables in Dynamo to which they build portals for actually looking at what I need to order and what do I have and how is it trending.
Yeah, if you look at if you go to my screen and really look at what was going on, I think the reason why, and we talked about it, I will tell you, I was like, can I get this today?
Exactly.
One, I hate going to the store. And 2, the fact that it will tell me when I'm about to be out of something versus like open that refrigerator and I want a cereal, there's no milk. Yeah. And so what I really thought about, okay, and I will have to admit, was I was like, if he could just tie this to fresh, then my worries would be over. I would never go to the store. But I think the reason why this really was, not only the architecture was fantastic, to really think through about refrigerator and using sensors to really gauge of the weight and use some type of intelligence to say that weight means you're out or you're going low. But I think what was really interesting and why this was really popular, the people's choice for this, was the fact that we all can relate to this. And I think this is what this challenge brought out, about building solutions that we all can actually leverage real time. This is something you could really see actually being used in your home. I know I could see it being used in my home. And the fact that he really went through thinking about all aspects. So if you think about it, he had a management app. So not only the IoT perspective of it, and that where it's going to gauge and do the possible predictive modeling of your being out and, hey, should I reorder for you? But actually he created a management app in addition to making sure analytics were being enabled. So you can actually be anywhere and check, oh, I'm low on milk. Yeah, kick this off in a few clicks and get it ordered. Exactly. And I thought he really thought this through. And I actually had to remember this was a part of the challenge and not a real thing. I was like, should I go out in the store and download this to my app? I'm all in.
Exactly. When can I get it?
Right, exactly. I was really kind of impressed on this. And so this was really a powerful one as well. So you talked about the architecture really quickly, and I thought it was really interesting about this architecture. So I know that, you know, he used a lot of analytics, and I know that's one of your cool things. Yep. Can you talk more about just thinking about this architecture, how this could even more, we talked about the predictive, like being able to order, but let's talk about how maybe even more analytics could be used on this. So, you know, with IoT analytics, tying this to Kinesis data stream, he's doing some things great here already, but let's talk about what possibly he could do in the future with it, because this is definitely the people's choice and we could see this being real. Indeed. I would love to talk about, you know, what this back end could even be enhanced to do.
Yep. For example, he could have actually used Kinesis Analytics, which actually will do real-time processing over windows of time. So for example, we could actually compute how much are you using every month, how much are you using every week. We can do windowed queries that would actually, written in SQL, fully serverless, so it would scale. So there's a number of longitudinal analysis they could be doing in the background, because maybe consumption is really heavy on a Tuesday, but frankly, we've got enough to last us for the whole 2 weeks, because we only really have really heavy use on Tuesday. So there's a number of services that the user could have put into place. In fact, some of these services already have predictive analytics in it. AWS IoT Analytics actually hooks up with SageMaker. So they could actually have hooked up with SageMaker and actually use the predictive modeling capability of SageMaker to build these models to actually fire that alert and actually do the ordering for you in advance.
Right, and he already noted that as far as future enhancing this, that he wanted to do that deep learning and predictive modeling. And SageMaker is such a great tool. If again, haven't heard about it, I don't know if you've been hiding, it's okay, you're here now. Go out and check out one of my great coworkers, one of my evangelist coworkers out there. He did a fantastic post on SageMaker. Go check it out. Also, if you want to get hands-on, shout out to Julian in France. I always pick on him, and as he picks on my southern accent. But he did a great walkthrough also on the AI blog about using SageMaker as well. So really go check it out. It makes it really easy to utilize pre-trained models, to build pre-trained models to use in these type of scenarios. So I agree, it would have been a really powerful thing. And so it's not like you can't do it. Like I'm hoping you really make this come out in the market. So definitely take advantage of Kinesis and SageMaker.
Yeah, I think this underscores that this is just getting started. The potential for developers with their creativity and the services we have to build new scenarios, new solutions, actually new experiences for customers. I think this is still very much a greenfield and very much still day one for IoT and streaming data.
And just back to talking about the resources we have, we're talking about these great winners. So again, congratulations, Grokman. I think it was fantastic. We're waiting for you to come out this for real, so none of us have to go to the store anymore. But I want to make sure that you guys know, yes, the challenge, it's done. However, there are several, once again, just remember, there are several resources out there on the Dev Post page that gives you sample code. There's resources, there's guidances. They talk about the service. You really get an overview of not only what the service can do, but you get guides of how to use the service and tie it into IoT, Kinesis, and the like. So just because this is over does not mean it has to be over for you. We really want to see more things out there. And if you guys could quickly go to my screen, I want you, again, one more time, just for you to see the URL and the page here, the challenge. So again, the challenge was to build cool IoT apps using IoT and Amazon Kinesis. And so if you look, you can not only view the winners. Yes, it's ended. However, we're waiting for more stuff from you. I can't wait. And as you can see, we have how it works. We have architectures. If you scroll down, we talk about, here's the service. Here's some submission recommendations that you can actually use. We talk about the simulator. So here's a good thing that we didn't talk about. And I'm glad I actually went to the page because it's a good reminder. You can use your own sensor data, but what if you're prototyping? So the hardest thing for me when I'm building something is, oh crap, I don't have data to test to make sure I'm doing this accurately. And sometimes you really need data at scale to make sure you test. So what is cool about this, and I'm glad this link is on here, so hopefully you guys are still looking at my screen, is that you can generate sample data using Amazon Kinesis Data Generator. And that's a really powerful thing that I don't think we talk about enough. When I'm building something, that's the first thing I think, oh gosh, I gotta make some data up. And having a tool that would generate this data for me and allow me to test
right from the console
is really powerful. In addition, let's say you want to test before you start tinkering with hardware. Hardware can be temperamental. There we go. Hardware can be temperamental. And so what if you want to make sure your software and your solution is working prior to configuration of your device? What's great about AWS IoT is there is an IoT simulator. So you can make sure things are working in a test or simulated environment, and then grab that great hardware that you want. You bring whatever hardware is your heart's desire, and then you can actually then tie that to it, knowing that the rest of your backend solution is working appropriately. So just a shout out to those two things. I don't think we talk about those enough. Those are, I think about as building something, those are pain points for me to generate data.
Very good call and a great way to get started. And something else that's come out since the IoT Challenge happened, a shameless plug for Kinesis video streams. We launched at reInvent. We have an SDK that you can download onto an Android phone and within minutes be streaming video. And just think about the valuable information that's inside of video data that you can extract, hook it up with Amazon Recognition Video to actually pull out information about what is in that video stream. I can't wait to see what people will build with that. And in fact, Tara, I think we had such fun with this one. We learned so much. We're going to do this again this year. I hope and would love to hear feedback from the audience on the interest in doing so, but I'd love to see us do it again this year. So look forward to a new contest coming this year. And again, look forward to how you could bring video into that as well.
So I can't enter, right? You all, okay. I'm just going to do that shameless plug to see. And since Roger said it, we might do it again next year. Make sure that you do a great job of going out. We actually had a Twitch episode where we walked folks through the sample code for this challenge. And so I just got a quick reminder about that. So make sure you go out and check that out. We actually have a question. So talk about the why. This question is the why in video in analytics and ML. And I'm not quite sure what you mean by this, so please give us more feedback here. But the question is, why video and analytics and ML? And I guess he said why, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you think about, I'll just use an example from a customer we talked to recently. They're interested in understanding in video when there's 4 people at the back door after 10 p.m. and the sensor in the door open. So just think about the power of that. That basically I can be alerted with an SNS message that the back door to my warehouse is open after 10 p.m. and there was a person that was recognized there. Or maybe there's something bouncing on the door and the machine learning is saying it's a dog. Okay, well the dog's bouncing up against the door. So again, you have this information. Video is such an important source of information that can be combined with sensors. And again, when you're looking at video, you need to have something that can recognize what's in that video fragment. That's where the machine learning and deep learning, which you can get from Amazon Rekognition Video. And you could use SageMaker. Can say, actually, I've got a very special model I want to build. I want to recognize when one of my family members is at the door. I want to recognize when there's a package placed on my front door so I can get alerted and maybe actually go pick it up or actually send somebody to go pick the package up. So again, a number of combinations where you need the video, but you need something to make sense of within the video and perhaps combine it with other sensors and look for events happening within a window of time so you can take action.
That's a really good point. And we have, we had I'll go ahead with this shameless plug for you as well. The Kinesis video stream. We also came with our recognition video. We have so many things to help you to really get video, the applicable video for these type of solutions. And I actually thought about something that happened at the New York Loft where a guy, this is when we really were kind of introducing our AI services. We're really talking about streaming and things of that nature. And he wanted to, as people go hiking, or go up in the mountains. He said one of the key things, now I'm not a big hiker, so this was really interesting to me. One of the key things he talked about was there are certain plants that if you get in trouble, you can eat, and certain ones that you can't. And that it was really important for people in those situations, and hikers or people that go up into mountain and, dangerous terrain, to be able to clearly identify these things if they get in trouble. And he wanted to use our services then, and with streaming where if they didn't already have the model to track that, it could actually send that data back and get real-time results for someone who did. And I thought that was really powerful. Yes. So imagine now we absolutely have the ability for that guy to do this. And this was very early on, but that's a scenario that stuck with me, that now we have the ability to do certain things. So video is a very important aspect of these type of solutions.
Indeed it is.
Okay, so with that, we are open to lots of your questions and hopefully you're going to Twitch stream. Oh, we have some. Great. So there is a question here about how do I get started with IoT and Kinesis? And we talked about some of these. I'm going to let you say what you think is best, and I'll add on to that.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
So for Kinesis, as Tara mentioned, we actually have a data generator that's on our consoles, both for Firehose and streams. So you can actually go to the console, you can create your stream or create your Firehose, use the data generator to actually stream data into the Kinesis stream, and then do the processing with Lambda perhaps, or Kinesis Analytics, connect the two services together. With Firehose, you can actually write Lambda functions that will transform, clean, enrich the data coming in off of your stream before loading it into a destination. So you can really build an application end-to-end within minutes.
Yeah, so as you said, the data generator is so powerful. And let's say you're totally green on, you guys are talking about this Kinesis thing and this IoT thing. Well, the first step for you, quite simply, is go to the product pages first of these services. And then once you kind of get a good sense of the power of Kinesis and the power of AWS IoT, then we have lots of tutorials. We did try to do a really good job with this challenge to provide lots of tutorials for you to get you started. So start you from the beginning, crawling till you get to be walking. And so we actually have a lot of things there that will enable you to quickly get started, quickly to understand the services of IoT and Kinesis, understand how you can marry those two together, understand the core of things like the data generator, the rules engine for AWS IoT. So go to the console, check those things out, walk through the tutorials, make it real for you. I think that'll be a great experience for you to get started. So we have another question from Tech Geek 42. Hi, Tech Geek 42. He said that, or he or she said, I'm still in school right now. How much of an expert, I think this is a great question. How much of an expert do I need to be to build an app like one of the winners?
We saw pilots building it. Actually, I think When you have Lambda, if you can write a simple function, you don't have to think about how to provision a server. I actually think we're increasingly lowering the bar. And where you find that we have friction, we'd love to actually hear back from you on what was difficult, what prevented you from building an application within minutes. Many of our customers tell us they're able to build these end-to-end applications within an hour or two within a single day. And again, there's a ton of resources available from our customers. There's forums in which other developers will answer your questions for you and code samples to get you started. So again, increasingly, we're trying to make these services as easy to use as possible.
Another thing that you can take advantage of is, I didn't call this out completely earlier, but I want to make sure that you know it's out there. We have a GitHub repository, AWS Labs, that has so much sample code of things you want to do. And so if you are, once you get through I kind of get what the services do, I understand now how I can marry these services together, then you can go and actually look at those blueprints of the code and actually implementations and architectures on AWS Labs. In addition, don't forget we have targeted blogs for this. So we have the AI blog, we have the compute blog, we have, blogs specifically around using Kinesis and things of that nature. As he noted, we have the forums. So you can go and ask questions, and we actually have people here from AWS answering those forums. You don't go gently into that good night in those forums. We actually answer your questions. And so that sample code on the AWS Labs is great to get started. But again, there is probably a plethora of information out there. We will probably inundate you if you really want us to, but go out there, if you're really trying to build something like these guys, you absolutely have the ability. And I think Roger made a great point here. These were pilots, and I don't know if they have a CS background or not, but think about what fantastic thing they created just by going to our console, looking at those starter tutorials, and taking the challenge.
And as Tara mentioned earlier, all of the examples that you've seen of the 45 submissions that are on the site, the code is there, their data is there, as well as their description of how they built the application. So frankly, I'd try to pick one or two that look of interest to you and try to replicate them with their code, the data, and work from there. That might be a great start.
Oh, so we have another question about, this is one we always get a lot. And this is a question about what is the preferred or recommended language that I need to polish for IoT apps? Now, this is my favorite one because I like when people ask this question. Yep. And the reason why I like it is because I believe that you should do what's comfortable for you, right? And so what I like about, one, being in the cloud, is that you determine what language you want to do. So we support, if you look out there, we have, for devices, we have device SDKs in various languages. So if you like C, we have C. You like Node, we have Node. If you're a Python person, like my coworker Randall, I always have to pick on him about Python, we have it for you. It's like Prego, it's in there. So what I like about this, from the device, as well as from if you're building an application with it. So let's say you are building things on the device, as well as you want to have a web interface for it, or you want a mobile interface. If you go out there, we really have a bunch of SDKs in the language of choice. And then even with Lambda, we support a myriad of different languages. Let me go ahead and give this shout out now, because I know all of my guys, when I used to work on the other side of the pond, will say this. We support .NET Core 2. We support, so C# Core 2. You can't say that we left you out. Great. I've been enjoying that. We have Java. We have Python. We have JavaScript. I mean, we cover, and we have Go. I will not forget Go. So we cover a myriad of different languages. So you determine the language of choice to build these solutions, so you can do things in your wheelhouse. I like that.
We like giving developers choices.
Choice is good.
Believe in that.
Choice is good. So we have had a great time talking to you guys about this. If you have any more questions, we will take them. But again, this was really fantastic. You said that we're going to do it again. I'm still going to try to push for me to sneak in there. No, I'm just kidding. Feel free to reach out to us. You can always tweet. We have an email address. Let me see if I can find that email address really quickly. We have an email address for this challenge. If you want to still ask questions, we still will take it. I found it. It is AWS-IoT App-challenge at Amazon.com. So you can absolutely email about that. Please follow our main Amazon Web Services on Twitter. You can also follow me on Twitter. I actually answer those things, believe it or not. Actually, if you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it for you. I'm here for you. You can follow me at Tara W. That's my alias on Twitter. And we have, I'm sorry, one more question. We won't forget this. Can I build an IoT project with Arduino, AWS, LabVIEW, Well, and AWS. So that's a huge question.
Let's see if we can take that one offline.
Yeah,
we
let's
may need
take-
to unpack that a little bit and understand exactly what you're trying to accomplish, and then we can give you the right answer.
Exactly. I know you're good with Arduino and AWS, but yeah, please, again, we just gave you all the ability to contact us directly, and we can talk about what you want to do with LabVIEW and get you up and running. We're all about helping you. All right, any more questions out there in Twitch land before we call it a day? Going once, going twice. Okay, it's been great spending time with you. Please feel free to contact us. Check out these great submissions. I'm telling you, this was such a powerful contest. I learned a lot, and I live and breathe this every day. So please go out there and check out the code samples, AWS Labs, the product pages. Reach out to us. We are definitely here to help you.
We are. And I'd just like to thank everybody who participated. It was great fun. We learned so much by looking at your examples, and I hope everyone who's listening today will participate in the next challenge.
Yep, your mission, gotta accept it. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, everyone.